While you sit there rotting in your own self-worthlessness, I want you to realize something. That you are and will always be a social reject, clown, loser.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Okay, let me tell you right here, right now first. Men were a straight up embarrassment on Twitter today. But I'll get to those clowns later because that's not what this video is about. And this is going to be a quick video because unlike other people, I don't spend multiple nights editing videos over another man on the internet. It's not what I do. So today we're going to be talking about the, at present, because it's always changing, worst fanboys in gaming. And that currently right now, the champions, the front runners, the leaders in the standings are PC gamers. It is not a debate. It is not an argument. It is a straight up fact. What happened today is an anomaly. It is an anomaly of a small group of individuals. What PC gamers are doing today, oh boy, it's damn near the whole group. Day in, day out. Week in, week out. Month in, month out. There is factual consistency. Now, PC gamers, we weren't always bad. And by we, I mean me. Because I'm the one that pretty much spearheaded PC gaming into this little community right here. It was me talking about 60 frames back then when people were telling me, oh, you can't see the difference. Oh, you're a frame rate snob. Oh, you're a graphics whore. All those things. That was me who brought it out here in the beginning. And there were other people that followed soon after, like Dream 308, Huntmaster Flex, and you know what? Eventually we even got Hard 8 on board because as crazy as Hard 8 is in the gold chain gaming right now, back then, a long time ago, the homie Hard 8 was in denial. And I'm not making fun of you, I'm just telling the truth, and even he will admit it. He was in denial until Battlefield 3. So like I said, we weren't always all that bad. Sure, we were obnoxious with our frames and our high-def resolution gaming and our customization and Steam and mods, but we were factual. But the problem is, today, we are no longer factual. We are no longer consistent. Hell, we used to be helpful, but we're not even helpful anymore. PC gamers back then would be willing to help you. Hell, we had Blacktooth helping Zaire put together a PC when Zaire was half naked in a goddamn bathrobe. You think people are going to be doing that today? Hell to the no. So, again, we were the wise men of the gaming community, the veterans, the elder statements. I'm probably still saying that wrong. But now our ranks are filled with a bunch of racist, edgelord, hentai-watching virgins. That's what a PC gamer is now. Before it was about being competitive, being skillful, playing possibly obscure games. Now, it's about playing weirdo-ass games and complaining about censorship. That's what PC gaming has devolved into. Don't believe me? Look at the top of the Steam charts sometimes. Now, all fanboys contradict themselves. They do. For better or for worse, it's a reality. Doesn't matter what you play on, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, handhelds, fanboys will contradict themselves. They will move the goalposts. But it is infinitely worse when a PC gamer does it. Because we don't get new machines, new standards every generation. We don't get a new president, new leadership, whatever you want to call it. There's no reset button every generation like there is on a console. We have consistent standards that we can regulate and dictate. And no amount of change can make us forcefully change those. They cannot be changed. We dictate it. And if we don't like it, you already know what's going to happen. PC gamers We will complain and we will force it until we get change. That's what we do. But what happens when we can't be real about our standards anymore? What happens when we contradict our standards? When we become hypocrites? When we lose credibility and the words that come out of our mouths just don't even mean anything anymore? Now, y'all know I don't hate a soul here on YouTube. And if I've had people do some despicable things to me on here, I've had people make threats to me and my family here, I've had people flash weaponry on camera towards me, I've had people do some despicable, hateful things. And I do not hate or hold any ill will to any of them. But one thing I do hate, and one thing I do dislike, is a liar, a hypocrite, a contrarian, somebody who contradicts themselves, who is a clout chaser. And that's what a lot of PC gamers are these days. With one of the biggest ones right now being you, Alex. Yes, I don't make videos and allude to people or say you know who I'm talking about. I directly tell you who I am talking about. And that is Alex on his crusade of damage control lately, why Tony is just drilling homeboy all the way across the seas from UK, Europe, London, England, wherever he's from. Hell, at this point, Tony might as well be cheating on his girlfriend. He's giving it to Alex so hard. It's crazy. Now, back to standards. The standards of PC gaming have been the same standards I've been preaching since 2000. Hell, those standards have existed prior to me telling you them on YouTube. 33 frames per second is not very playable. 60 is playable, but not ideal. I like to see above 100 frames per second. 60 is the bare minimum. The absolute bare minimum. Anything below 60 is trash. I don't play trash. Now, are there exceptions to that rule? There are exceptions to every rule. If the game is turn-based, if the game is tactical, menu selecting, JRPG, do you really need 60 frames per second? No, because you're simply navigating menus. Would you need 60 frames per second on a visual novel? No, because you're literally reading and turning pages. If you're playing chess, you could probably play it at 5 frames. It wouldn't matter. But 99.9999999% of the time, yes, if it's below 60, I'm not playing it. I don't care if it was Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Guess what happened with all those games, despite those games being critically acclaimed and selling tens of millions of copies? Anybody here will tell you I did not play or touch any of those games until they were 60 frames per second, whether they were remastered on the PS4 or they had a 60 frames per second update or patch on the PS5. My standards are consistent. I do not change them. I do not clout chase. I do not make excuses. My Steam Deck, if the game ain't 60, I'm not going to play it. Period. Why would I play a game less than 60 on a Steam Deck when, like Hard 8 says, I got a 3080 and a PC right in front of me? Doesn't make sense. But let's go on with Alex and the hypocrisy, the lies, the contradictions, because it's easy to target Alex because he's the one leading this new age generation of born in 3D, born in broadband, new age PC gamers. See, it would be harder for me to target each person individually or to talk about it as a group, but when you go to his channel, when you go to his feeds, when you see his fans, he is the leader of the representation of pretty much what is wrong with PC gaming, or hell, even gaming right now in general nowadays. So, as I've stated before, even before 2009 when I've been saying it, we here in the PC gaming community, or you can call it the PC master race, whatever you want to call it, have stressed that the absolute bare minimum for gaming is 60 frames per second. There is no compromise. There is no exceptions. It is 60. And like Alex has said, and I'm not going to edit this and post up things because I don't really have the time and I really don't care to. Congratulations to the dudes that can edit like champions like Tony. It's just not that important for me to do. My content and my words gotta be enough. But when somebody says anything below 60 is trash, I tend to think that 59 and under is trash. When somebody says 60 should be the minimum, I expect them not to play games below 60. Because if you look up the definition of minimum, yes, that's what it means. Nothing below the minimum. So we've established that 60 is the minimum and anything below 60 is trash. But now we're talking about he is a believer in 40. And the people that follow him are now believers in 40, which goes against everything PC gamers have been saying, not just on YouTube for the past 13 years, but since the mid-90s. Hell, even earlier than that. We have never said 40. We're believers in 40. So here's the issue. If you say anything below 60 is trash, and 60 is the minimum, but now you're a believer in 40, that's a contradiction because now you're a believer in trash. And now 60 is not the minimum, 40 is the minimum. And now your minimum is trash. Oh, but it gets better as Tony exposed this fraud even more. Like I said, Tony is giving it to Alex so hard, his girlfriend might break up with him for cheating. Because that's what Tony's doing. Alex is hypocritical, contradicting, fraudulent, lying clown of himself literally was running a Souls game on a PS3 emulator saying, runs good at 30. Huh? You remember when console gamers used to tell me that, oh, but Black Bond, it's a smooth 30? And I'm like, really? A smooth 30? That's like a in-shape fat person. It's an oxymoron. There is no such thing as a smooth 30. There is no such thing as runs good at 30 frames. PC gamers have never thought like this before. Never. In fact, the funny thing is, PC gamers emulate Switch games to avoid 30. They emulate Switch games on Yuzu because they want to run the game at 60, not at 30. So all of a sudden, y'all be stealing games to run games at 60, but then steal another game on another platform and hypocritically say, runs good at 30. Imagine that. And then we get the excuses saying, oh, but PlayStation 3 is hard to emulate, and it runs it better than a PS... That's not the point. Doesn't matter if it runs it better than a PS5. 30 is trash. The minimum is 60. Since when did it become acceptable to play trash? Y'all just said earlier you're a believer in 40. And that's a contradiction to 60 is below 60 is trash and the minimum should be 60. So now you're making excuses not only for 40, but you're making excuses for 30. And then you're contradicting yourself for the whole reason why you emulate Switch games, to get better frame rates and performance, to emulate PlayStation 3 at 30. This is crazy. And it gets even worse for guys like Alex. Tony is grilling him. Don't get dumped, Tony. I know you like to give it to Alex, but don't get dumped. Stay in a healthy relationship. Black love, we gotta support it. This man, Alex, literally said he couldn't tell the difference between 30 and 60. If I were to tell you how many times I heard that stupidity during the PlayStation 3 and 3060 era, which is laughable, but this guy is supposedly a veteran PC gamer. But they literally let it out of his mouth. How the hell can't you tell the difference between 30 and 60? Now, if you have eye issues, if you have cognitive issues or motor function disabilities, I apologize. But then again, if you have those, you shouldn't be bragging about 60 is the minimum anyway. You shouldn't be bragging about, oh, well, I play my games at 120. Oh, now you're bragging and saying 1/4 of that 30 is good. Imagine that. But how you can't tell the difference between 30 and 60, to me, is unimaginable. Like, the goalposts are switching so much. It's just absolutely crazy. Y'all just have to come out and admit it, that you are lying, hypocritical, fraudulent clout chasers. It's not an opinion, it's a fact, as I've proven, and as I've stated. I mean, Alex, I gotta see you every other video complaining about Sony makes nothing but third-person cinematic games. And yet, it's hilarious because one of your favorite game franchises is Metal Gear Solid, a third-person cinematic game. And then even worse, you like a glorified walking simulator in Death Stranding. You can't go a day without contradicting yourself or being the biggest hypocrite on this site. I mean, you and your boy who let his brother go through his girlfriend have the nerve to be up here talking about these lames in Twitter spaces, being up here in all these spaces all day streaming about other men when you and him were in a stream for 5 hours in one day doing the same about me, disparaging me. And it's hilarious because when I point out that people need to take care of their mental health, y'all get upset. But then the funny thing is, you like to throw jokes and make fun of other people with insults regarding other people's mental health. And again, it's just another form of hypocrisy. You can make fun of other people's mental health. You can make fun of other people's cognitive disabilities, jokingly, not even knowing if they have them or not. But when somebody like me says, hey, you legitimately and factually have this disability, maybe you should get off the internet and take care of it, all of a sudden, y'all got a problem. Y'all got a problem with Bond pointing out reality and trying to tell you to prioritize what is right. And speaking of prioritizing what's right, when you got a family, editing videos and losing sleep and spending time 3 nights in a row and showing up to the Blazecast in pitch blackness probably isn't the best decision either. Look, I've gone through my own problems and I've stepped away from YouTube. I know how to prioritize. Apparently, some of the rest of y'all, with your problems and your own personal lives, don't know how to do it. Well, that's all I got to say. I'll get on the other weirdos later. They definitely need it. But I gotta say, and I gotta reiterate it, it's shameful to see because I remember there was a time when the PC gamers in this community were active in playing games, were active in helping people, were active in being a community. Hell, I had like 360 people in my Steam group, The City of Hate. But all we have now, like I said, is a bunch of weirdo, racist, edgelord, hentai-watching virgins that have nothing better to do in their lives than the clout chase and to try to make fun of other people for having lower standards, even though they contradict their own standards or put their standards near or below those people they're making fun of standards. Literally, the people you've been making fun of for the last decade, you're no different than them. And that's what's crazy. You made fun of people for over a decade for doing something that you're now participating in 13 years later. I'm Black Bond. Check out the What Will podcast Sundays at 5:30. Check out the rest of the crew, Broken Games HD, Kid Smooth, myself, Jack Move and Blandrew, and I'll catch you guys later. Enjoy your evening.